What is up, YouTube? Back from another YouTube video, and today I have a guide on how to complete the Scavenger's Den Master Lost Sector. So to find this, you're going to go to your Destinations tab, and then go over to the EDZ, which is going to be located over here in the bottom left middle portion of your map. And then go and spawn in either in Trossland, or if you really want to, Winding Cove, but I'm going to spawn over here in Trossland. And before we get there, I also want to show you that there is some triumphs connected to this if that's something that you want to get, which if you go over here, and then European Dead Zone, and then go to this tab for the world, and then Exploration, you can see that there is Scavenger's Den Solo Mastery and Solo Flawless. So I will show you how to do that now. You can see I already have it, so I've done it before, but this guide will be showing you at least how I will do it solo flawlessly. So we're going to go ahead and make our way over here, and then all we got to do is just keep following this roadway. There's not really any way to get lost. It's not, too crazy to follow. And then we just make our way up there, and we're gonna just drop right here. Now you're gonna arrive right here. If you don't see this flag icon on your screen, the icon or the actual flag itself, and if you don't see this icon on your map, that means you have to complete it normally. So if you don't see any of that, run inside the tunnel right here, and then you're gonna end up seeing some lights in this cave. And then as you make your way inside, you will notice that it's going to tell you Scavenger's Den Lost Sector discovered, as you can see right here. And then you'll have some enemies. Make sure you just kill all the enemies, make your way to the boss room, kill the boss, with the chest at the end, and you'll unlock Legend and Master difficulty for this Lost Sector. So we're going to go ahead and make our way back up here. And then we'll go over the modifiers as well as the loadout and then the gameplay. So let's go over here for the modifiers. You can see for Master difficulty, we have shielded foes. We're going to have combatants with arc shields. Master modifiers are extra champions, locked loadout, and extra shields. Limited revives, barrier and overload champions. Then we have solar threat, 25% increase to incoming solar damage. We have scorched earth, enemies throw grenades significantly more often. Chaff, radar is disabled. Overcharged weapons, stasis surge, 25% bonus to outgoing stasis damage. Solar surge, 25% bonus to outgoing solar damage. Then overcharged fusion rifle, which is 25% bonus to fusion rifle damage. Now for the rewards, you can see enhancement cores are uncommon. If completed solo, legendary weapons are common, and if completed solo, exotic leg armor is common. Recommended power is 1840, but you can see I'm 1827, and we get this done just fine. So let's go ahead and get into the loadout. So getting into the loadout here, you can see we're running Solar subclass, and then we got Golden Gun Marksman with the abilities being Gambler's Dodge, Triple Jump, Knife Trick, and Healing Grenades. For the aspects, we have On Your Mark and Knock 'em Down. And then for fragments, we have Ember of Ashes, Ember of Char, Ember of Solace, Ember of Torches, and Ember of Eruption. Now when it comes to the weapons we're using, I'm running Riptide in the primary slot, and it has stasis damage, so it's going to do increased stasis damage. And it's also going to take advantage of the fusion damage buff because of the fusion rifle increased damage. So overall, very good gun, and I highly recommend having one. Also, it has chill clip on it, and direct hits with the top half of the magazine cause a detonation that slows nearby targets over time. This is useful if you want to try to stun overload champions with it, because as you can see, stasis slow effects will stun them. And I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest with you. Like, yes, I like using Riptide with chill clip, but trying to use it only for stunning champions is kind of annoying, because these overload champions, they teleport all over the place, and I'd rather just use my rocket launcher to stun them. But this is another option just in case if you might not have heavy ammo on you, you can try to use this. But at the end of the day, I just recommend the rocket launcher. But when it comes to the second weapon, it's going to be Polaris Lance, and this is like the main weapon around the build, and it does solar damage, so it's going to get increased damage from everything else here from the solar damage buff. But it's also going to allow us to become Radiant and deal with barrier champions, because as you can see, the exotic trait is the perfect fifth. Precision hits load an explosive round. So the whole playstyle around Polaris Lance is just hitting crits. And with the artifact mod here, which I'm going to show you, Flint Striker is rapid solar weapon precision hits, and rapid solar weapon final blows grant Radiant. So either if you're rapidly hitting precision hits or getting kills with it, it's going to give you Radiant, which again is very useful, because sometimes you can't always get a crit. Sometimes you just gotta shoot the enemy to get them away, and that will help give you Radiant. And again, using Polaris Lance, you want to hit crits, so you have no problem getting Radiant here. It's going to be very easy. all you need to do is hit like 4 crits in a row or something like that, and then you're going to end up proccing it on the left side of your screen. And every time you hit a crit, it pretty much extends it back to being max, so you're always going to have it as long as you're getting some type of kills. But again, that's very helpful there. And remember, the main playstyle behind it is hitting crits, so just keep doing that and you should have no problem. And then I just want to know, I also have Dragonfly on here with the Catalyst, so just know that that's why that's there. If you don't have the Catalyst, then you might not have Dragonfly, which it's still a good gun, but Dragonfly just helps with, you know, getting rid of red health bar enemies that are standing next to each other with those little explosions and stuff like that. So that's why I have Polar Slants. For the heavy slot, I have an Apex Predator, which is a solar rocket launcher. It doesn't have to be this one exactly. It can just be any solar rocket launcher or any stasis rocket launcher. But as long as you're using one that matches the surge, that way you could do a good amount of damage. And then we're also using overload rocket launchers to stun overload champions. So again, it doesn't have to be exactly this one, but just have a stasis or solar rocket launcher. Now, when it comes to the armor, running Celestial Nighthawk, which has the exotic trait where a golden gun will fire 1 high damage shot, which is going to help do increased damage. And then we have harmonic targeting, harmonic siphon, and hands on. So if I just inspect it real quick, you can see we have harmonic targeting and harmonic siphon. And pretty much what these do is, if you don't know, if I switch to arc subclass, you can see right here, arc targeting and arc siphon. And then if I go back to solar, we have solar siphon and solar targeting. It just matches whatever subclass you have on to give you those mods. And I just did it because I wanted to have hands on. And then if I used regular solar siphon mods, you can see here it costs 3 energy compared to the 2 that this one cost and the 1. So it's very, very useful, and that's just one reason I have it there. So that's why those are there. I know it says solar targeting and solar siphon, so just in case if you went to use the build and you saw that it wasn't working, that's why. It's harmonic targeting and harmonic siphon. Now for the arms, we have solar loader and heavy handed. And then for the chest piece, we have 2 solar damage resistant mods and charged up. For the legs, we have stacks on stacks and 2 kinetic weapon surge mods. Now we're using kinetic weapon surge mods because there is the thing with golden gun, and it shoots kinetic damage and is recognized as being a kinetic damage source. So to increase our damage, not only with Celestial Nighthawk, but as well as with kinetic weapon surge mods, that's going to be very useful. And if you want, it's kind of overkill to be honest with you, especially for a lost sector. I just leave it like this because I'm too lazy to change it. But if I really wanted to, I could run a solar weapon surge and a kinetic weapon surge, but I just leave both of those on there. If you run a solar weapon surge, then when you pick up an orb of power, your polar slants will do increased damage and your apex predator will do increased damage. So very helpful, but I just run 2 kinetic weapon surge mods just to boss damage and stuff like that. And then for the cloak, we have 2 bomber mods and a time dilation mod. Now getting into the artifact, feel free to pause it here and just copy it if you want. But the first row doesn't really matter. I recommend Killing Trigger and Blast Radius, and then Flint Striker and Wish into Being, as well as Overload Rocket Launcher, Raise of Precision, and Solo Operative. Heart of the Flame isn't going to work because we're not playing with allies, so when we cast our super, we're not giving anybody Radiant, so it's pretty much a waste. And from Whence You Came, this is a fallen lost sector, so there is no taken or scorn combatants, so that's pretty useless. So that's kind of why I didn't recommend those 2. But make changes where you think it's necessary. If you just use the ones that I pointed out, then you should have no problem getting this one done. So let's go ahead and get into the gameplay.